Imagine a company so dazzling it could sell reality itself. They said they were the future of energy, or maybe of art, or maybe of both. It didn't matter. The name glowed, the pitch buzzed, and within months they'd raised $100 million for something even they couldn't quite describe. Investors smiled, journalists nodded, analysts wrote glowing paragraphs about visionary disruption. And deep down, everyone knew the truth they refused to admit. The idea sounded too good not to believe. It started, as all delusions do, with charisma. The founder looked like the perfect blend of scientist, prophet, and motivational speaker. Perfect hair, confident smile, a black hoodie with a slogan so vague it felt profound. "We don't change industries," he said. "We change what industries mean." The crowd erupted because they didn't want clarity. They wanted theater. Slides animated behind him, floating shapes, endless growth lines, sparkles of innovation. The product? A mystery? The emotion? Addictive. Money followed emotion like a dog off the leash. Venture capitalists competed to throw cash first. Every headline pushed the valuation higher until it stopped being a business and became a sport. On social media, fans quoted the founder like scripture. Belief is the new proof. People wore company t-shirts not because they used the product, but because they wanted to belong. An entire movement formed around an empire that didn't yet exist. Inside the office, success was defined by announcements, not achievements. Teams built demos that looked impressive on camera. Designers replaced engineers as heroes of the day. They rehearsed spontaneous breakthroughs for press tours. One employee joked they were making PowerPoint for imagination, except nobody realized it wasn't really a joke. There was buzz to maintain, and buzz doesn't have time for math. The founder knew momentum is oxygen. Every week brought a new partnership or bold vision statement about reshaping energy grids, or digital art, or brain interfaces, depending on which journalist was listening. Investors didn't mind the inconsistency, they called it versatility. Critics asked what the company actually did. The founder laughed and said, "We're building possibilities you can't yet imagine." That sentence was both everything and nothing. The linguistic equivalent of a magician's smoke bomb. Money converted into lifestyle. The office expanded, the chairs got shinier, the espresso machine achieved near spiritual significance. Employees began to believe the myth they were performing. Anyone doubtful was labeled negative energy. The culture worshipped optimism like it was a KPI. "We're changing the world," became the morning chant shouted before stand-ups. They had no product, but they had faith, and faith photographs beautifully. When the first real investor asked for audited numbers, panic fluttered beneath the confidence. But the documents were easy to supply. You didn't need profits when you had projections. Bar charts curved upward like roller coasters. Pie charts sprouted new slices labeled potential. Everything was FOMO on parchment. Each lie hid inside another until lies became architecture, a $100 million palace made of overlapping exaggerations. Whispers started after the first cancelled shipment, the missing prototype, the ex-employee tweet saying, "Ask where the data is." But the founder's charisma deflected curiosity. "Disruption looks like dysfunction at first," he explained on a podcast, voice smooth as espresso foam. The audience chuckled, reassured. Doubt takes effort. Hope is easy. Reporters circled quietly, piecing fragments together. A few insiders leaked the same story in different words. There was no there. The miracle machine was an empty shell, the software a collection of mock-ups drawn to impress investors. Marketing had become manufacturing. Storytelling had replaced science. The founder wasn't running a company. He was directing a cult of attention. When the article finally dropped, it exploded. The $100 million nothing. The headline read. Within hours, news feeds surged with disbelief, anger, memes. Shareholders demanded explanations. Employees locked their computers. The founder scheduled an emergency live stream. He appeared calm, almost glowing with defiance. "We are victims of misunderstanding," he said. Behind him, a graph slid downward like a ski slope. In the corner of the live stream chat, 1,000 users posted the same comment. "Still holding?" Those watching felt a strange mixture of pity and satisfaction. The collective illusion cracked, releasing months of pent-up skepticism. What once looked visionary now looked absurd. The official statement blamed media sensationalism and temporary liquidity challenges. Translation: the money had evaporated and no one knew where it went. By the weekend, employees were trading their company swag online. The founder was photographed leaving in a borrowed car, still smiling like a man applauding his own downfall. Journalists compared the saga to other famous manias, the dot-coms, the crypto kings. The alchemists who promised gold from air. But this story had a modern twist. No fraud, no violence, just a collective dream everyone agreed to inflate until it burst. The deeper tragedy wasn't the money, it was the misplaced belief. The engineer who'd worked 60-hour weeks building a product that didn't exist now freelanced deliveries to pay rent. The intern who'd told her parents she was changing history avoided phone calls. The investors wrote think pieces about lessons learned, pretending they hadn't ignored every red flag because greed is always easier to justify in hindsight. Weeks turned into noise. A parody remix of the founders' speeches climbed the charts. Our fundamentals are strong, auto-tuned into a dance track. Someone built a video game where players inflated bubbles until they popped, appropriately called Delusion Run. The name trended longer than the company had survived. Internet humor became historical documentation, but beneath the laughter lingered an uncomfortable question. Why do smart people fall for dumb ideas? Maybe because intelligence is no antidote to excitement. We want to believe there's a shortcut, a breakthrough, a door only we can see. The lie doesn't dupe us. It flatters us. Every bubble sells the same promise in a different costume. You, dear investor, are witnessing the future before everyone else. That sentence has bankrupted more geniuses than recessions ever could. So the world brushed itself off and prepared, as it always does, for the next miracle. New founders rehearsed on mirror stages. Slides gleamed with fresh verbs. Tokenize, gamify, revolutionize. Money leaned forward, eager. Memory blinked and reset. Because hype has infinite lives in a world that fears missing out more than it fears being fooled. Yet, even amid the repetition, something fragile did glow. A lesson, faint but honest. Progress isn't evil. Dreams are necessary. But dreams untethered from physics inevitably crash into it. Ambition is glorious when it builds, ridiculous when it floats. The line between the two is thin, and most of us don't notice we've crossed it until the air under our feet disappears. Economies run on trust, and trust is a form of collective storytelling. This time the story lost control, but others will write new chapters. Maybe the next miracle will be real. Maybe not. The rhythm won't change. Optimism, denial, crash, reflection, repeat. We call that progress because it moves forward even while circling the same lessons. Some months later, the founder reappeared at a small university lecture. He spoke about learning from chaos and hinted at a new idea that would monetize sincerity. Students applauded politely. Outside, the air felt the same as before, each boom, charged, silly, deliciously dangerous. The cycle was already restarting, as if the universe had queued up the same song on shuffle. And for the rest of us, we keep watching, half mocking, half hoping, waiting to be amazed again. Maybe that's not a failure of reason, but a feature of being human. We trade logic for wonder whenever the promise gleams bright enough. So the next time someone tells you they've reinvented reality, that their startup erases gravity or prints happiness, take a deep breath, tip your imaginary hat, and check that your feet still touch the ground. Because when gravity returns, and it always does, the sound it makes is unforgettable. It echoes through markets, through headlines, through dreams still smoldering. It sounds a lot like applause fading into silence. It sounds like history smiling knowingly at our short attention span. Boom, then busted. And if you enjoy watching how belief turns into bubbles and bubbles burst into lessons, stay close. This story isn't ending. It's just pausing before the next ridiculous miracle.